Picking up where we left off at, we're on problem 22D, and we're trying to solve this using the best method. Now, what I would suggest here is let's do the distributive property. We would end up with t squared minus 7t plus 1t minus 7, and that equals 4. So this will be t squared minus 6t minus 7 equals 4. Now we want to set this equal to 0, so we'll subtract 4 on both sides. So we have t squared minus 6t minus 11 equals 0. Now, I believe that we should use the quadratic equation here because using the A, B, and C method that we normally use would not work in this instance, but the quadratic equation will. So A is 1, B is negative 6, and C is negative 11. So we have x is equal to, we know it's the opposite of b, and we know b is negative 6 plus or minus negative 6 squared minus 4, a is 1, and c is negative 11, all over 2 times a, which is 1. So we have x is equal to 6 plus or minus the square root of 36. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times the negative 11 is a positive 44. And then that's all divided by 2. So we have 6 plus or minus the square root of 80 all over 2. Now we know the highest perfect square in 80 is 16. So we have x is equal to 6 plus or minus the square root of 16 times the square root of 5 all over 2. Now we know the square root of 16 is 4. And we'll be left with 6 plus or minus 4 square root 5 all over 2. Now all three of these terms here have 2 in common. So our final answer would be x is equal to 3 plus or minus 2 square root 5. And that is it. Now we need to go to 24b. It says find a when e of a is equal to 3,000 using your calculator. Include a sketch. Give 2 decimal places. What does it mean in this situation? So our first step is to look at the equation and the problem. We're not going to do a, so I'm going to use this space up here. Now we have e of a. It tells us e of a is 3,000. So we'll put in 3,000 for our e of a. And it equals negative 7.5a squared plus 523.1a minus 3,312.3. Now we want to get all of these numbers and variables on one side. So we could subtract 3,000 on both sides. And we would have 0 is equal to negative 7.5a squared plus 523.1a, and then this would be minus 6,312.3. Now remember, we typically don't want our lead coefficient to be negative. So what we could do is we could actually multiply everything by negative 1. And all that does is it just changes the sign of everything. So we have 0 is equal to 7.5a squared minus 523.1a plus 6,312.3. Now, what we could do is this here. We could do one other thing. Let's get rid of all these decimals. Now, if we notice here, the largest amount of numbers we have behind a decimal is 1. So we will multiply everything by 10 to get rid of the decimal. So we will have 0 is equal to 75a squared minus 5,231a plus 63,123. Now we list our A, B, and C. Our A is 75. Our B is a negative 5,231. And our C is 63,123. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to write this out as far as the quadratic formula, and then we're just going to put this in a calculator and solve it. So in the quadratic formula, we know it'll be the opposite of b, which would give us 5,231 plus or minus the square root of, it'll be a negative 5,231 squared minus 4 times a is 75, and we know c is 63,123. Now, this would be all divided by 2 times 75. Okay, now let me scratch this out. So we will put all this in our calculator. So after you put this in a calculator, you would get that x, or a, we should say a, is approximately 15.52, or a is approximately 54.23. Because remember, you should get two answers here. One with 5,231 added to this radical, all divided by, we know 2 times 75 is 150. So we'll do the addition of this here and then also subtraction. And we will get approximately 51.52, or a is approximately 54.23. And then it also asks the question, what does it mean in this situation? Now we have to consider, first of all, we need to consider what that 3,000 means. It says about 3,000, that 3,000 actually would turn into millions. Now what I'm going to do, because how I had to set this up, I cannot move this C down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write a little bit below here what does this mean in this situation. So I'm going to draw a little arrowhead down here, and I'm going to write what the situation means. Basically, the situation is about 3 million, because it's really 3,000 thousands, about 3 million 15-year-olds and 54-year-old Americans participate in aerobic exercise regularly. Okay, so this is the answer to B. Now we want to go to C. It says find the vertex of the model using your calculator. Include a sketch. Give 2 decimal places. What does it mean in this situation? Now we know the vertex is x is equal to negative b over 2a. Now the first thing we need to do is to go up here. Remember, we had our a and b. We can go up here to the side. Our b was a negative, so we'll take the opposite of a negative, 5,231. And our a was 75. So this will give us 5,231 divided by 150. Now we will put this in our calculator, and that will give us approximately 34.87. So let's write that, approximately 34.87. Now, our next step would be this here, because we want the vertex. Remember, the vertex is an ordered pair. So we have our x value, which is 34, approximately 34.87. And we need to put this back into the regular equation wherever a is. So what you would have to do is just go to the regular equation and substitute in 34.87. Now I can write that out. So let me go back here. I know our A was 75. So it'll be 75 times 34.87 squared. And I forget what the middle term was. Let me take that. The B was a negative 5,231. So it'd be minus 5,231. And then times A, which would be our X, which is 34.87. And then finally, our C value is 63,123. So it'd be plus 63,123. And this is what our Y value would be. So we could write f of X or f of A. And this is what this is equal to. So you would put this in your calculator, and that final answer would be approximately 5,808.82. So this right here is the vertex. Okay, so now we took care of that. Now, as far as the sketches go, you can put it in your calculator, and your calculator will give you the sketch. So now we scroll down here to 29. Now, with problem 29, we're supposed to just do 29b. Okay, so it says find the domain of the function by hand. So what this means is we would set this denominator equal to 0. So now, since we have 4 terms, we will group the first and group the second 2 terms. We could factor out a 4x squared with the first term, and that will give us x minus 2. And we could factor out here a negative 36, and that will give us x minus 2. That equals 0. So now we will have 4x squared minus 36, and then we have x minus 2. That equals 0. Now, this is the difference of 2 squares. So this would be 2x minus 6, 2x plus 6, and x minus 2, all equal to 0. So we'll set all 3 of these equal to 0. 2x minus 6 equals 0, 2x plus 6 equals 0, and x minus 2 equals 0. Now, after you get this, this would be x is 3, this would be x is negative 3, and this would be x is 2. So what you would write is, you could write, this is a symbol for all real numbers, or you could write out all real numbers except 3. Well, let's start off with the lowest. Negative 3, 3, well actually negative 3, 2, and then 3. So it's all real numbers except for these numbers, negative 3, 2, and 3. And that is your final answer. Okay, now we can scroll down here to 31. We're going to do 31b. Now we have f divided by g. So what we need here, and we see that we have this 1 here. So let's do this. Let's take each one of these individually and put in 1 for x. So this would be 1 squared minus 6 times 1 plus 8. And then we will have, oh, there's a little mistake here. This is actually your g, and this is your f of x. So this right here should be your g, which I did first, and then I would do the f. So we have f of 1 is equal to 1 squared plus 2 times 1 minus 8. So 1 squared is 1 minus 6 times 1. So 1 minus 6 is negative 5 plus 8. We know it's 3. And then here, 1 squared is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. Minus 8 is negative 5. So we will put our f value, which is negative 5, over our g value, which is 3. So this is our final answer. Now, we need to scroll down to 32b and c. Now it says perform the indicated operation, simplify the results by hand, show all